Hey, everybody. It's Anita and Anello here with you on the podcast, The Wealthy SAP Consultant. And I have my very good friend, Laura Chattington, joining me today. She's coming from all the way across the pond over in the London area. So, Laura, I'm so excited to have you here. It's almost nighttime for you and daytime for me. So, let's get going. Let's talk about, we just did a quick little intro. Can you introduce yourself to the audience before we get going, Laura? And then we'll go from there.
Sure, and thank you for having me here. It is a pleasure. So, my name is Laura Chattington. I am based in London. I do business globally. I help business owners really simplify their marketing so that they can attract consistently high value clients and have 6 and 7 figure business growth. My background actually in this conversation, I have spent years in the city working in the tech and the finance industries. I've run events globally, in person and online, and all sorts of things. So I'm really looking forward to the conversation we're going to have today.
Yeah. So, okay, so let me kind of set the stage for everybody listening of what's going to happen today, because I'm telling you, your socks are going to be blown off. So, Laura and I have known each other for about a year, almost a year or so.
Mhm.
We are in another mastermind together. And one of the things that she and I really connected with earlier this month, as a matter of fact, is just business growth, marketing, virtual events. But what we started to talk about and kind of elaborate what we notice is when we meet with our clients is sometimes there's like these different understandings, right, Laura, of
Yeah.
what's available in the marketplace. And so what we want
Mm.
to do is talk about the abundance that's available to all of us, whether you're a
Mm.
coach, entrepreneur, or consultant, whatever business line you're in. What we want to do today is encourage you and talk about the abundance of business that's all around us. So Laura, why don't you go ahead and start off? Because one of the stories that you had told me was the industry that you had been in and that you still serve, and kind of like
Mm.
financially, what did that look like?
Yeah, and we actually started having this conversation, and it really blows your mind. It continues to blow my mind. And I originally was in sort of tech and communications, and we had like I ran like global $1 million accounts for clients all around the world, and they were like huge accounts. And then I actually went into the finance industry and in London. So I was working again for global firm. And I made a shift in my headspace about the difference between millions and billions.
Mm.
And it's not that I had billion suitcases of billions of dollars in my own, but when you're in an environment where you're operating in billions rather than millions. Millions is like pocket change,
Yeah.
right? You get your mind expands because you're like, oh, our operating costs like 350 million. That's like peanuts, and you're kind of like, your reality is stressed so
Mm.
much that you then start becoming more aware of just how much abundance there is. And
Yes.
I would sit in this office, and it was a very nice office. I used to call it the 5-star luxury hotel because it was like that, right? And but it wasn't very big. We weren't a big company like people wise. There was about 200 of us.
Mhm.
And I used to sit in the city of London, and I'd be like, well, we've got this floor. And I know there's another firm downstairs, and I can look out, and there's like these huge buildings full of firms like us.
Yeah.
And I used to just think, where this floor's like 10 billion,
Yeah.
that floor over there. And I just like, it really blew my mind just how much money there is in the world, right? How much flow of money there is in the world, in the sense that when you're not in that kind of environment, or you're not aware of just how much abundance there is in the world,
Hmm.
you're focused on smaller things, right? So I think it kind of like, whew. And I was like, you couldn't count it all if you tried. So as a business owner, now you and we are successful business owners, but I'm assuming we don't run billion-dollar companies because we're not on the Elon Musk party list just yet, are we?
Not
But
today.
But when you sort of see that kind of opportunity, there never is not enough leads, not enough clients, not enough, there's just too much. There's abundance amounts of
Right.
everything,
Right.
right?
Yeah, and that I think that was one of the things that kind of triggered our conversation as well,
Mm,
is that I was talking about how I was making connections in
yeah.
my circle of influence and the networking that I do and connecting with friends and colleagues and making new connections. And
Mm,
the longer I've been in business, the more I
yeah.
connect with people, the more my mindset has shifted from way back when I didn't want to do sales, when I came from a
Yeah.
100% consulting professional services background, and
Yeah.
I had a scarcity mindset that was
Mm,
like, I can't possibly do sales. There's not
mm,
enough business to go around. And now when
mm,
I look at it, like there's so much business that's transacting all around us.
mm,
So many leads, so many opportunities. Now you
mm,
got to go out and get them for sure. You got
mm,
to figure out a
mm,
way to bring those leads to you and all that great stuff. But just to be able to have that shift in awareness for me over the last
mm.
several years in my business and the season that I am, it's so exciting because
It is.
every day I wake up and I'm like, there's 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 more than enough for you.
uh,
There's more than enough for me
Yeah.
with more than enough to go around for everybody else, more than enough left
Yeah.
over, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
when you allow yourself to shift, notice I said I allowed myself to shift into
Mm,
that awareness, into that possibility, then all of a sudden a whole new world opens up
mm.
to me. And it's like a mutual friend of ours, Eileen, says, it's like we can't unsee what now we
What
see
we've
all
seen.
around us.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Right?
And it is that and again, like you talk about what it was like, what I was like before. And I remember, I mean, I set up my first business when I was 24.
Mm,
And I remember my second business where I might as well just have sat in a room with the doors closed and I didn't realize, I wasn't aware
mm,
of anything else but what was going on in my life. And so you get into this
mm.
lack mindset, don't you? Like you have competitors because you're like, well, I want that client, and but actually when you start seeing what is really there and
Yeah,
what is available to you, there is so much more. And I think the key word is awareness, right? There is so much opportunity that you and I could do exactly the same, and
yeah,
we could be in the same state, let
yeah,
alone the same country, and we still wouldn't get to it all,
right,
right?
right, right.
And so you start looking, you look at the world, it gives you a different view of the world, and you start looking for things that compound what you're doing, partners, strategic partners, networks, and like opportunities where me in that room for 8 years, trying to work out how to do business, not very well,
Yeah,
just wasn't aware of. And then what you do is you find people who done what you want to do, and that's when you get the leaps. And people talk about the quantum leaps, but they're true
yeah,
because otherwise you're there trying to work it all out yourself, and you're just not going to get what they've got already.
right.
So
Okay.
just that kind of collaboration mindset that comes with that abundance mindset, I absolutely love,
Yeah.
right?
So, okay, I'm gonna ask you a couple of things,
Yeah.
maybe like
I'm like that. I rub my hands when I'm like, there's so much
let's
opportunity.
go. Let's go. Okay, one of I actually wrote down this note the last time we were talking.
Okay.
You said this is what I understood you say.
Yeah.
It's the awareness that we lack, not the strategy, not the
Yeah.
tactics to get us where we want to go. So you just talked about awareness. Can we dig a little
Mm,
bit deeper? Like, what do you
mm,
mean by that? Because
mm,
I know that especially, well, maybe not especially, but in business sometimes we can get so focused on
mm,
consuming information that's out there,
mm.
doing the tasks, all this kind of stuff. But I
Yeah.
might lack the awareness. Number one, of
Mm,
either like in business, we have to do the right steps in the right order to get the outcome that we're looking for.
mm,
So sometimes
mm,
just the busyness of the day can
mm,
cause us to get like a lack of focus or a lack of awareness. But then also, I think there's another element in there that I want you to talk about is kind of like this concept where I want to be able to open my eyes to what's available to me and
Mm,
encourage others that are listening today to see what's possible and then how do we step into that. So can you break that down
mm.
a little bit more?
I'll give it a go. I was paying attention. I think that, I think business, if you look at business online, which very much, we were saying a lot of business is done online, a lot of connections is done online. From a marketing position, there are so many like strategies. And I always say like everybody's, even me, I've got tech background, I've got marketing background, and even I'm like, oh my God, I need a duh, I need a this, I need a that, I need a this, I need a that. And it's like just total sort of meltdown, marketing meltdown.
Yeah.
And you get so stuck in the mud trying to work everything out. So when clients come to me and they're just like, I'm trying to do this and I'm doing this and I'm doing this and this word, it's so easy for me. I mean, it makes me look like a genius, but actually it's just simplifying it all and seeing seeing what's getting results and doing more of that
Yeah.
and sort of getting rid of all the other, distractions. It's like this sort of attention deficit world we live in because we're all like, I mean, I go on whatever platform I'm on, and you've got those sort of like the few second reels and things like that, and you find it, and I'm like, what am I doing? I'm meant to be, So
Yeah.
we're constantly distracted, and as business owners, there's all these different ways to get clients or grow your business. And in fact, when I met my partner, Chrissa, her background is she was like in a rock band. And when I met her, she'd invested in this highly technical webinar like programs. It's like 25K. I'm just like, how is someone with your skill set going to handle the tech and the marketing understanding
Yeah.
to get the results? So I think the kind of online world has sort of got us to this place where we think, so actually the awareness is actually, I think, being in the right room with
Mm.
the right people who can get rid of all the stuff you don't need
Mhm.
and really put in the kind of the power play, like that is your play,
Yeah.
right? And you instinctively know it's right because it's so easy to do.
Yeah. Right.
So we met via a mutual contact of ours or friend of ours in kind of live events.
Mhm.
And I remember when I've been presenting for years, and when I went into that environment, I was like, oh my God, this is awesome.
Yeah.
This is really easy,
Yeah.
right? Now, was I aware at the time before I ran events and I did, you know, was I aware that it was a great business development model? No,
Yeah.
I wasn't. But then I got in the room with the right person who was like, here, this is everything I've done before, and this is how you do it and how you do it fast.
Yeah.
And because it sat with my skill set, I was just like, this is me,
Yeah.
right? And so I think awareness comes from being willing to willing to keep your view of the world really open and not like my way is the only way kind of thing. And being open to see that there are people who have experience in what you're doing who can really make you go fast and do
Mm.
it a lot faster.
Yeah.
And it's not, you don't need more stuff.
Yeah.
Very rarely have you ever met a business owner recently. I mean, not for 10 years, right? Who's gone, do you know, I just don't know what to do. I've got nothing to do all week, right? They're
Never.
just like, they're not there.
Absolutely never.
So it's actually taking away all of that and becoming aware of the strategies or the tools or, the business development that's really going to like go for you, like fire for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And there are things that I'm always astounded. Like I'm like, have you not heard of this stuff? It's amazing, but most people aren't actually. Most
Yeah.
people aren't aware of lots of things. So it feels like someone's let us into the sweet shop and we're just like filling our pockets with all these lovely jelly beans and stuff. And then we want to share it, right? We want to share. We want to
Right.
share because we found the magic form, the magic numbers to unlock that door.
Right.
Um, and I think it's a relief, actually. I don't know about you, but I think it's like once you realize that there are fast, easier, simpler strategies that normally involve some kind of collaboration, in my experience, then you're like, oh, all that hard work
Mm,
didn't get me to where I thought it was going to get me. And
yeah.
actually, I just wasn't aware of the right people and the right action.
I love that. I love that. I love what you said about being in the room with the right
Mm.
people. I know for me and my business, as I have grown and become more aware of,
Yeah, yeah,
right? When I started
yeah,
my business at I mean, and I started out with like an Amazon business,
yeah,
I did okay. I mean, I
yeah,
think that first year we pulled in like $25,000 doing it
yeah.
part-time. I was like, it's a little extra money in the
Bit
pocket.
of pocket
Okay,
money,
great.
right?
Right,
Yeah.
right. And then the next year we did better, and the next year we did better. But as I have been on the journey of being an
Mm,
entrepreneur and trying
mm,
out these different
mm,
business models, I've noticed
mm,
that you just become a little bit more aware, a little bit more educated. We pay the tuition, right?
mm,
Like if we can
mm,
pay other people who have already paid the money to figure these
mm,
things out and be able to
mm,
make the road simpler and faster. I 100% agree with you. We don't
mm,
need
mm,
more complexity in our
mm,
lives or our businesses. I'm always
mm,
praying, asking like, can you just, God, and you guys know, listen to my podcast. I'm going to put stuff in the framework of God. If you have a different framework as you're listening, totally
mm,
fine. You do you. I'm going to do me. I'm praying on a daily basis. Can you just help me simplify? Because there's
mm,
all these great strategies and tactics and methods and stuff and programs and formulas and blah systems,
mm.
but I just want to stick to the stuff that I know that works,
Yeah.
right? And then for me, being able to step into projects and going from the early stages of business and making a little bit of pocket change to offers that now net me, over
Mm,
600K and all that kind
mm.
of stuff like that. It's a big shift. Right.
Yeah.
But where if I stood back in those rooms when I started, I would now actually have a completely different awareness
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
completely different perspective going
Yeah.
back into those rooms. And then now,
Yeah.
like both you and I are putting ourselves in rooms where people are doing better than we're doing so
Yeah.
that we can grow up with them, like
Mm,
not staying stagnant. I think that's the other thing
mm. I
is,
think one of the bits of advice I got, which it is, I think, hugely valuable, also is exactly what you're saying about being in the rooms with people who've done much better than you, because they're
yeah,
going to fast track. And it's not that like we're in a desperate rush, but it's like all that time you spent trying to work out things on your own, it's a waste of time, right? So if you can get in the room with people who've already done it, that is the best way for 1,000 different reasons.
yeah.
One of the pieces of advice that was given to me, and I think once and it's about making a commitment to yourself and your business, is not only to get in those rooms, but stay in the room. That
Mm,
was one of the pieces of advice that I was given. Stay in the room, no matter how uncomfortable it is, no matter how much you want to throw your toys out the pram, no matter how, you know, you make a decision on the room you're going to be in,
yeah.
and you make sure it's the right room.
Mhm.
And then no matter what, you stay in the room, whether you have to claw your way in, whether it's difficult, whether you're, self-conscious or whatever it is, you stay in that room because that's where you're going to grow. And
Yeah.
I think so many people get uncomfortable and they leave and
Mm,
they leave before they are actually, just before things come together for them. So that was a really good piece of advice someone gave me.
yeah.
And I'm like, boo-hoo, I want to get out the room. You know what I mean? I want to get, but then that's where the magic happens,
Yeah.
right? And it comes back to your awareness. It
Yeah.
comes back to being aware that your current business level, your current what you're doing in your business and the way you're thinking isn't the way you need to be thinking to get to the levels that you want to get to. And I think you, Anita, I think the first time we spoke, we were talking about, if I knew how to do $100 million in my business, I'd be doing $100 million in my business,
Yeah.
right? If I knew, so if wherever you are, if you knew how to get to the next level on your own, you'd already have done it. And
Right.
that's what we were saying, right?
Yeah.
So it isn't more stuff, it's being aware of
Mhm.
what you don't know yet or
Yeah.
aware of things that you are not aware of, right?
Right. Sometimes when I sit with clients, so right
Mm,
now, I'll just kind of set the stage. Right now, in the online space in particular, or just
mm,
coaches in general, like there's amazing coaches that are out there that can help you build $1 million business if that's
mm,
your goal.
mm,
That's
mm,
great. Like
mm.
go after that if that's what you're going. Yes.
Yeah.
The when you get up into the $10 million range, 30, 50, 100 million,
Mm,
$1 billion range, there's a significantly smaller amount of the
mm,
population that has really cracked that code and
mm.
knows what they're talking about, has done the steps to be able to get to those levels because
Yeah.
it's a
Different.
it's a
Yeah.
different skill set to build $1 million business and or above that, let's say
Mm,
$10 million and above.
mm,
So
mm.
one of the things I noticed is I sat with a client one time and she told me, well, I know what it takes to be able to go and build this business. She filled in
Yeah.
her revenue amount. And I was kind of like, okay. So as the car kind of pulled the conversation out a little bit more and then I finally asked her the hard question because I'm told I'm really good at asking the hard questions in love.
Yeah.
The question was, well, if you know how to do that, then does your business actually reflect that right now? So
Yeah.
if we're just talking about revenue or going after a certain number of customers, whatever your metric is that you're using, if you're not getting those results
Mm,
right now and you've been at it for a stretch of time, the question that I would ask is, I would really challenge somebody on that and saying, I mean, right? I can say for myself, like I know how to build $1 million business,
mm,
problem.
mhm,
On my way to 10, no
mm.
problem. Investing in coaches to help me get to that level because
Yeah.
I think in my mind that I know, but the reality is it's not it hasn't come to fruition yet.
Mm.
Therefore, I know I'm aware enough and humble enough to know that I need some help in that area. And so I
Yeah.
raise my hand and say, I'm willing to do the hard things and the work that it
Yeah.
takes to shift the mindset and then do the tasks, right?
Mm, yeah, and I think also it is it's mindset, isn't it? And we don't like to talk about mindset, but it is a factor, and I feel like wherever you are to get to the next level, it makes no sense to me. Like again, you can't see what you've seen, right? You can't unsee what you've seen. And
Yeah.
if I could go back to myself all those years ago and just say, just get in a room, get in
Yeah.
the room to get you to that's all you need to do. That's literally that is the simple, that's the simple directest route. Um, would I have taken that advice? I didn't get that advice then. Would I have taken that advice? Interesting, may or may not. And there's a whole load of mindset stuff that plays through, like what we do and how we take action and what we
Right.
do every day,
Yeah.
right?
Actually
And I think
wonder too, the older I get, I wonder if I think back to like younger Anita,
mm,
I think that some of that information was around me, but
yeah, I do.
I couldn't
Yeah,
see it and I couldn't hear it because I wasn't ready for it.
yeah,
So that
I
always,
totally agree.
like I always say, feel like, okay, I'm going to take extreme responsibility for me and doing the things that
Mm,
I'm supposed to do. If
mm,
I want to step into the arena of stepping into $1 billion contracts, okay, what is it going to
mm.
take?
What
I'm going
does
to
that
have
take?
to,
Yeah.
right? I'm going to have to shift and want to move that direction. Excuse me, want to move that direction to be able to be aware that all the way around me, that the information that I need, the coaching that I need, the expertise that I need is right there in front of me. It's kind of like, how like they use the example like let's say you drive a white car right now and then you go buy a red car,
Mm.
right? And all of a sudden your eyes are like, there's red cars
I was
everywhere. I never
everywhere.
noticed there were so many red cars. The cars were always there,
Yeah,
right? The
yeah.
clients, the business, the opportunities, I can tell you, are already there all the way around you as you're
Mm.
listening to the podcast
Mm.
today. What we're trying to do today is talk about mindset stuff because it
Mm.
helps us to become aware that actually the business does exist all around us, and we just need to be able to step into it.
Yeah, I think that's so true because I think it doesn't matter. It's how you wake up, right? It's how you wake up in the day. There is so much opportunity around every single person, every single day. I don't care what background, I don't care where you are. There is opportunity for everybody. Um, and I think it's having the ability to have that view. I have that view that there is opportunity all around you. So whenever you come up against any challenge or any friction, or you're like, God, I can't do that, there it's there if you look for it.
Mhm.
And that's where the kind of mindset comes in, and just being an understanding, another one of the differences is understanding how do people like at the $10 million level, how do they think?
Mhm.
Because how they think will depend on the actions they take,
Mhm.
right? So they think someone who's running a $10 million business or a $50 million business thinks differently to somebody who's running a $1 million business.
Oh, yeah.
And that coaching is like to understand, yeah, there's strategy and tactics and all of those things, but understanding how you need to process what your mindset needs to be to take the different actions. And
Right.
again, it comes to awareness. It's
Mhm.
all about awareness again, isn't it? And
Right.
I tell you a quick story, just from I years ago I went to a Dan Kennedy conference,
Okay.
and I was there. I mean, I was a kid, right? I was like, yeah, this is amazing. Everyone, everyone that came on the stage, it was like way before lockdown. Everyone's on the stage and they were like selling loads of stuff. And I was like running to the back and I was like buying everything with my credit card. I was like, yeah, this is awesome. And I was there for 3 days and I flew back. I was living in Portugal at the time. I flew back and I was like, I said to my partner then, he was like, what have you got? And I was like, I've got all this stuff. I've got all this done. I had like all sorts of stuff. I had a training on how to manage employees, but I didn't have any employees. I had like all this tech stuff. And I'd invested in this product, which was about how to get your business to $250 million.
Oh,
But I wasn't making $1 million back then. So it was totally the wrong thing at the wrong time in the wrong sequence.
yeah.
And so there is a sequence, but
Mhm.
you can jump the steps of what in normal business you think the steps are. And I
Yeah.
think the ability that being in that room and being aware that you don't have to take sort of sequential steps,
Hmm.
but you just need to be able to make the jump to where you're going to next.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like you say, if you are, if we knew how to do $50 million a year, we'd be doing $50 million a
Right.
year, right? And that's the bottom line. So you can tell yourself whatever you want to, but ultimately that's the kind of, it's what you're turning over, which is your level of awareness.
Mm.
And I think there is a lot of, I know I've struggled with it in the past, a lot of to do with mindset and belief and confidence in yourself
Mm-hmm.
that also plays into all of those things as well, for a
100%.
1000% sure.
Yeah.
And I think you have to keep checking in on that on a, daily basis.
Yeah.
But once you kind of open up your mind that there are no limits, there really isn't any limits. As I
Yeah.
think back and I was sitting in that the financial city of London thinking, well, on our floor we've got 10 billion, downstairs they've got 20 billion, upstairs they've got another 15 billion, you know what I mean? And that's just three floors,
Yeah.
boom,
Yeah.
and there are no limits, no limits at
Oh,
all.
so good. So
Right.
good. Okay, so let me recap as we're kind of getting ready to wrap up here. Let me recap a little bit. So, a lot of what we talked about is really mindset related, becoming
Mm,
aware that there's money flowing all around us and being able to take the steps to move into that awareness. The other thing that we've talked about on previous episodes but relates to this, and Laura just said something really key, is being able to have the confidence ourselves to bring our offerings to the market. One of the best ways that I know how I've done that in my business, maybe Laura, you can share as
mm,
your experience as well, is I knew that I could get a result for somebody. I
mm.
crafted my messaging about an outcome I could get for somebody else.
Yeah.
Then those two things coupled together, being able to go into the market with, I know that I know that I know that I can get the result
Mm,
that they want, not so much about me, all
mm,
about the outcome that I can get for somebody else. Those two things really boosted my confidence in my
mm,
entrepreneurial journey to be able to come to the marketplace and say like, of course.
mm.
Like you get this kind
Yeah.
of look on your face, like, of course I can do that for you, right? And
Easy
then
peasy. Yeah.
then you actually, that's a great indicator of I'm in my sweet spot,
Mm,
right?
mm,
Of doing the work that I'm called to do. Could be similar, could look exactly the same, but my system is a little bit different than Laura's system or
mm,
what have
mm,
you. And that, but I know that I know that I know that I can get the results for my clients, right? I know that I can help $100 million and above organizations get their software projects out of escalation and get them back on track and back into taking money, to making money. I know that I can reduce the stress level where C-level executives are feeling like they're so worried about their multi-million-dollar project that they feel like somebody's going to get fired and it might be them. I
mm,
know that I can reconnect a client organization with their channel partner organization and resolve the conflict that's between those two groups of people and settle down the stress so that they can have a healthy relationship going
mm,
forward, right?
mm,
And
mm,
so as we talk about some of these things, right, and talk about our mindset and being aware of the business that's out there and creating offers that the marketplace is really seeking. Because here's the truth, guys, as you're listening, the market needs what you have to offer. They
mm,
genuinely do. There are people out there that are just waiting for your voice, waiting for you to show up, waiting for your offer. They're waiting to hear the solution that you have because even though other offers exist in the marketplace, they're listening for your voice in particular.
mm,
They're looking
mm.
for your system and your experience and background so that you can take them shoulder to shoulder.
On that
That's what
journey.
Laura does. That's what I do.
Yeah.
This is what we do
Yeah.
in our businesses.
Yeah, and I mean, it's down to offer creation, isn't it? And I'm always like, and usually I'm always like, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm excited. This is going to be an amazing offer, right?
Yes.
Rubbing my hands with glee. And you touched on lots of stuff there, but I think that conviction is the word I like,
Mm,
right? I can show up, I can do it. I know that if I work with you on your offer,
yeah.
and because I've done it so many times before, and when people come in to like sessions with me and then I'm like, so tell me about your offer. And then they'll tell me and I'm like, I'm rubbing my hands because I'm like, I'm going to transform everything in your business,
Right.
right? Like that. It's
Yeah.
going to take me about an hour to show you something you'll never unsee. And you're going to like, poof, it will go crazy in your business.
Yeah.
And so I think it is conviction. I think it is offer creation, which is value creation, which is wealth creation, which we love, because it really means what I love about it is it's so creative
Mhm.
and it's based around taking people from hell to heaven
Yeah.
using your system.
Yeah.
And once you've done that, maybe that is in your own experience, maybe that's with clients as well. Once you know that you know that you know, it becomes just sort of axiomatic so fast because you know that you've got to do X, Y, Z, and you're there.
Yeah.
And most humans who are still at the place where they're still trying to work things out, they're not doing A, B, and C. I said X, Y, and Z, A, B, and C. And they're doing loads of other stuff and
Mhm.
they're distracted by all that other stuff.
Yeah,
So it's so easy to come in and say, hey, look, I know exactly what you need to do. I know you need to do this and you need to do that. And that is your offer creation. And
Mhm.
the value of whatever that outcome is, sky's the limit, no limits,
Yeah,
right? And I love creating offers and like, how do we make the experience better? How do we
right.
make it more valuable? What else do they need? What else do they need just sorted, taken out? What, experience do we want to give them?
Yeah,
And you kind of get out of this grind of, we were saying like 94% of businesses and people, employees trade on time.
ooh,
And once you become aware that actually people don't care about any of that,
hmm,
they just want the outcome.
yeah,
Whether that's I'm going to save you 500 million if do things my way, or I'm going to, find you the love of your life, or I'm going to get you super fit even though you're over 40 or whatever it is. Once you know you can get there and the value that creates for them, that's what the offer's about, and that's
yeah,
what they're interested in. And I think that is an awareness that excites me.
hmm,
And when people come into my world, I'm like, I'm so excited for them, to be
yeah,
honest with you, because it's a massive shift
hmm,
in everything for them. So, and that's what that, and then business is like cool, isn't it? It's like, it's awesome. I'm walking around thinking about my clients and how to get them results faster,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So
So yeah,
good.
yeah.
I love that. I love that too. Offer creation. Our friend, good friend Eileen says offer creation
Hmm.
is wealth
It's wealth
creation.
creation.
Yeah. And it's
And
so, so true. So true. All right,
mm,
Laura, any last thoughts as we wrap up the episode today? I know,
just well.
I know, a lot of hand rubbing. So excited about what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
I mean, I think I would leave everyone. I mean, we've kind of covered loads today, haven't we?
Yeah,
But actually, I think the key things I would leave everyone who's watching, listening with this is get in the right room, get into the room that's going to stretch you. It's going to be uncomfortable. You're going to hate times of it, but it's going to be the most rewarding, and
yeah,
it's going to be, enable you to be the person that you should be and become aware of maybe things that you didn't even know existed
yeah,
or had no understanding of, because that is what's going to take you to the next level in your business and in your life. And yeah, it's just an incredible mindset to have, because there is so much opportunity
yeah.
in the world. You don't have time to get a tiny bit of it.
I
So yeah.
know. I know. So good. All right, Laura, we'll make sure and put some links in the show notes for you, but you want to just auditorily tell us, how can people connect with
Yeah.
Laura?
Yeah, so if anyone wants to find out more about what I'm doing, come and join me at an event I run. It is simplifiedmarketinglive.com. And yeah, I'd love to connect with you, find out more about your business, and see you there at the event. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Awesome.
thank you so
Thank
much for having me.
You bet. Laura, and I just want to say a special thank you. I love the way that you show up in every conversation we have. I love the way that you show up for your clients. You are doing amazing things. So I just want to thank you for
Thank
you being
you.
you and showing up the way that God has made you and just bringing all of your experience, all of your knowledge, all of your wisdom to be able to make other business owners' lives just have the shift that they are desiring. So thank you so much for
Yeah,
everything.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. And I
absolutely.
look forward to connecting with you soon.
Yep. All right, everybody. We'll see you again on the
Alrighty.
next episode. Thanks.